Suggins is nervously waiting at the center of the stage. He is checking his watch almost pathologically and is tapping his toe. It's almost as if he's waiting for someone, which he is. Arnold and a strange man both approach simultaneously from different directions until all three are more or less in the same place.
Excellent, you're both here. Now, Arnold, this is the health inspector.
The health inspector notices Arnold, smiles, and extends his hand. Arnold shakes it.
I'm Lafayette Bean from the Dink City Code Enforcement Office.
Arnold Reston, Dink City Informant.
Ah, yes, the paper broke that story about the mattress man.
I wasn't here for that. What was the mattress man?
It was exactly what it sounds like, and that part of the conversation ends now. I invited both of you here because I want full disclosure on this. I have the press and the city government represented because it's important to me that everyone in the city is on board with Coconut Cove. I wanted you two to have the first look. Now, Arnold, I know you're my kin, and you're the only relative of mine that anyone is allowed to mention, but you're also a reporter, and nobody believes in a free press more than myself. I want Lafayette here to conduct his final walkthrough of the park with total transparency. If we fail, the whole town is going to know it, and I can't stop you from telling them. But this place is up to snuff. It's up to the Suggins Code, and that's the most stringent code that I know of. So, let's have it, Mr. Health Inspector. I dare you to find something wrong. Anything at all.
What's that smell?
I don't... What? You mean the sewage?
Okay, I guess I mean the sewage.
When we were initially planning this park, we discovered we would have to reroute all the sewage lines. Now, this meant digging up, moving, and reburying thousands of feet of pipe. Now, that's exhausting just to describe, let alone actually do. We decided to skip the last part, turn the sewage lines into a canal that spans Lake Park.
And this canal is... It's open to the public?
Well, of course, it's actually quite beautiful. We have a machine that makes it all frothy so you can't tell that it's sewage. Of course, we load the canal with blue dye to make everything nice and sanitary. I know that blue equals clean. It's reflective of the most recent scientific development. The smell, of course, you never quite get used to. You think you do, and then you get in here in the morning, you're like, whoa.
This being early 20th century Mississippi, it's not an immediate failure. What else you got?
Suddenly, a hideous, slovenly man wanders on stage. He looks at Suggins, then at Arnold and Bean.
Papa, I'm scared.
Suggins tenderly approaches the hideous man and looks him square in the eye.
There, Mr. Rutherford. There are just some friends of mine. They're gonna write a big story about Papa, and then we can play here forever. How does that sound?
The hideous man smiles, making his face somehow even more hideous. He turns back toward Bean and Arnold, who are terrified.
I work at the water park.
You sure do, little buddy.
The hideous man mercifully leaves.
Why, that was the ugliest man I've ever seen.
Third ugliest for me.
Mayor Suggins, who was that awful person?
Oh, that's just Mr. Rutherford. He's a new release from the House for Funny Guys, you know, up the hill.
The what?
Where silly men go when they're too silly to be, safe any longer.
Oh my god.
The only house up on the hill is Mrs. Beauregard's home for the criminally insane.
That's the one.
You make them call you Papa? Because the one that just left called you...
I know what he called me. I didn't plan for that, but now that they do it, I don't hate it. And I think it's apt, don't you? After all, I gave them new life, a chance to work for Dink City and contribute to society. Sure, some of them get a little silly. One even got silly with an axe in his entire family. But who hasn't been in that position?
I haven't.
I also have not.
So you're able to get them to work cheaply because they're technically insane?
I much prefer the euphemism silly, as I feel I've made fairly clear throughout this entire conversation.
Ephraim, I'm your family, and I'll always be on your side of a bloody rat fight. But this seems wrong, somehow. Like, these people are gonna snap and start strangling everyone.
Well, now that's what a lot of them did to get locked up initially, so I assume that's gonna be the first place they go when threatened.
I'm awfully parched. Do you have anything to drink?
I'm so glad you asked. Now, we have 10 specialty cocktails, which is this new thing that they do in New York where they don't drink liquor all at once, but mix it with juice and drink it slower. But then it costs more than the alcohol would have just been on its own, largely because of the incredibly cheap juice and the labor involved in mixing the cocktail with the juice. That's ultimately what you're paying for. I'll have one of those misters get you a man.
No, please! Don't get another one of those silly guys.
Yeah, some of them are creepier than others.
He pulls a whistle out of his pocket and blows it. It makes no sound. Almost immediately, a different hideous man arrives. Arnold and Bean both recoil.
I'm here, Papa.
Hello, Mr. Sanders. My friend Bean here would like to see a drink menu. Do you think you could rustle one up?
Mr. Rutherford turns and looks at Bean for entirely too long without blinking. Finally, after a truly uncomfortable moment, he turns back to Suggins.
Anything for you, Papa?
Now you're a good boy. Now, don't let one busload of school children define you.
Mr. Sanders exits.
Can you have them not look at me next time?
I can't have them do anything. It's almost amazing how little control I have over these monsters. Now, one of them keeps leaving dead animals outside my bedroom. I think I'm supposed to feel flattered, but mostly if I forget to look down, I step on cock.
I have to say, Mayor Suggins, this place doesn't really fill me with the good cheer of the islands.
Mr. Sanders reappears with the menu. He hands it to Bean, again looking at him for way too long. Bean grabs the menu and pretends to be reading it very carefully.
I'll have the Dink City Daiquiri. Oh, well, that's nice. I like that.
See, it's named after the town we live in.
I know.
Mr. Sanders snatches the menu back with a grunt and exits.
Wait, is he making my drink?
No, we had professional bartenders. They know all the bottle flipping tricks, and each one studied bartending at Le Sorbonne in Paris.
Oh, great. Oh, you're joking.
Very much so, yes.
Mr. Sanders returns with a drink in hand.
Oh, he was back really quick, right?
The staff is known for being efficient. By me. They're known by me for being efficient. And now you.
Yes, but the speed at which he came back, he didn't have time to make any sort of drink.
And yet, here's your Dink City Daiquiri.
You probably don't want to drink that.
Do you think you're whispering now?
Mr. Sanders approaches Mr. Bean and offers the drink.
I just remembered I'm not thirsty anymore.
You really should take the drink.
I just swallowed some of my spit, so I'm good for a few hours.
Mr. Bean, please take the drink from him. You really have to take it from him.
Papa, why does he want my drink? I worked on it so hard.
I think Mr. Bean is just confused. He didn't know how hard you worked on it and will now gladly accept it. Isn't that correct?
It doesn't seem like you worked hard on it at all. It took like 7 seconds.
I don't know if Mr. Bean realizes what kind of things will happen if he doesn't take the drink right now. I don't think he has the slightest idea how he's going to react.
Well, now all I see is blood.
Oh, okay. Give me the fucking drink.
He snatches it from Mr. Sanders and holds it up to his nose.
This is piss.
He hands it to Suggins, who takes it from him.
Well, now this could possibly be. Mr. Sanders, this is a bad thing. Do you understand why?
No.
Oh, that's too sorry.
You go to your enclosure. I'll be around later for your board lesson.
Mr. Sanders slinks off and there's an awkward pause.
Because I'm teaching them how to play the.
You are aware, of course, that I cannot in good conscience give this water park a passing grade.
What? Why?
Why? Do I really have to explain why?
Now, I have some good news for you, Mr. Health Inspector. The money I saved by hiring all those silly boys and not burying those pipes is being diverted exclusively to friends of the project. Now, if you catch my bouquet, I noticed that your suit is quite shabby. Maybe you should buy another one, and maybe a dress for your wife, too.
I'm running for city sheriff this November. If I happen to get that job, it may turn out that I've never been set foot in this place. I hear it's nice, though.
Now we're talking. Now, tell you what. There's some girls by the water slide complex. Why don't you go ahead and pick out one for yourself? I'll be by later to put in a good word for you.
Mr. Bean extends his hand and Suggins shakes it.
Finally, a mayor that understands how things really work.
He starts to leave and then turns back.
And to think that you're only 7 years old.
You want to see my pubic hair? Because I haven't got any.
They both laugh and Bean exits. Suggins turns his attention to Arnold.
Arnold, you haven't said anything in quite a while. Are you feeling all right?
I can't believe you just did that.
Saved the city?
You cut all those corners and just paid your way out of it. This park is unsafe after him. And if the health inspector won't shut down, then maybe I ought to publish the truth about it in my newspaper.
Oh, but you won't do that, because if you do, all of this stops. You stop basking in greatness. I go away. This city dies like the wretched orphan that is so close to become. You're back to drawing your huge-dicked cats and big-titted mice.
Hey, you look at my cartoons.
Arnold, you're my kid, and nothing is more important to me than that. But if you tell anybody about this, I'm gonna hire someone to chop your head off. And when I say chop your head off, I literally mean that he's gonna chop your head off and put it in a sack and then give me that sack for some reason. I'm not saying I want this to happen, Arnold. In fact, I'm really starting to like you. But nonetheless, I will succeed in chopping your head off in the same way that I have succeeded so far in every single thing I have ever tried. Now, maybe I'm in for a rude awakening someday in which I reevaluate all my life decisions, undergo significant personal growth. But that almost certainly will be after the whole head chopping thing goes down. So I guess you've got a choice, cousin. You can be a valuable reporter, still reporting the truth, but filtered through me, or you'll be a headless torso and presumably an unmarked grave. Now, it's your choice, and hey, you don't even have to answer right away. In fact, the guy who I was going to hire to chop your head off, I can tell this guy to wait for your answer before he starts planning the whole thing. The whole chopping your head off thing, I mean. I can tell this guy to wait until you're completely sure what way you're going to go. I will say that together we can achieve such greatness for this city and the world, and it would be a shame if it had to start settling into motion a series of events that ultimately led to your head. Well, you know.
Yeah. I think I'll never tell anyone about this, ever.
I thought you might see it my way. Now let's get an ice cream cone. It's the early 20th century, so ice cream was just invented, and they have all sorts of weird flavors. They didn't really pan out.
I like celery.
Celery, paprika, pate. Sky's the limit.
They exit the stage, slapping like old buddies. As they exit, Travis and Schravis retake the stage. They're having an argument of some kind.
All I'm saying is the fall killed. And I'm telling you, the child was dead before his head even hit that concrete embankment. The bobcat was dedicated and persistent. That's why they're nature's perfect killing machine.
Sorry, everyone. We're just in the middle of a bit of a kerfuffle about what exactly killed the Thompson baby.
Oh,
Which is a local baby that we know or knew is probably more accurate.
It's very sad, but the grieving parents can rest comfortably knowing that their baby was a horrible person who deserved to die.
Some things, some things you just know, and that kid was rotten to the core.
Never before have I met a child whose face screamed for such a severe beating.
Doing God's work, that bobcat was.
Sooner or later, someone would have finished the job even before that dangerous and heroic jungle beast came along.
I tried to steal the lad and drown him on 9 separate occasions.
Once you even made it to the old well, right?
I made it all the way to the old well, but then I realized that well was dry, which was something else that was probably the baby's fault. I was going to just throw him down there and hope for the best, but his bullshit parents stopped me at the last second.
It's like big deal. I could be a parent if I wanted to. Well, not me personally, because I have a bit of a rabbit's foot situation down there. But someone like me could.
I have 5 sons who are probably plotting against me.
You think?
I would be if I were the 5 of them.
Touche.
Anyway, what the hell were we talking about before this? Various battles that shaped the modern dramatic stage?
Oh God, I hope so.
Wait, I just remembered. It's Ephraim Suggins. We're narrating a play about Ephraim Suggins.
Oh, son of a shit house.
Where were we? Oh yeah, when we last saw our favorite child, he was bribing a health inspector and threatening his cousins with decapitation.
Not surprisingly, Arnold said nothing about the Coconut Cove incident, and the water park was a massive success. Folks from all sorts of neighboring towns came to slide and frolic in the tepid and germ-ridden water.
Even less surprisingly, Dink City started to get a lot of money from these neighboring towns and started to gradually improve.
It improved so much that Mayor Suggins built a brand new, state-of-the-art,
In that it had toilets-ish.
reception hall just so he could marry the love of his life, Flora Skittles, right there inside of it.
The story of young Suggins convincing Flora to be his wife is one of a legend, and nobody knows exactly how he managed to seal the deal, The young bride wanted a church wedding, so a compromise was had. Legend has it there were legends involved.